Okay, what's up, everybody? Unplanned live stream. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there we go. I have to do a couple of things with this thing so I can actually. Boom. Alrighty. Did I lose that? Dang it. Let me go back. All right. What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday to you. I hope that you have enjoyed your weekend. I have had a good weekend just hanging out with family. I'm a family person these days. I used to go out and party quite a bit when I was younger, like every weekend. If you're from Detroit, Metro Detroit area, you know that we are like the home of house and techno music. And, there's always something to do in Detroit. It's the Motor City, Motown, you know, there's always something to do. And I used to do a blog in the city, and I used to just go to different events, different parties, and you know, I used to take pictures. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of teeing something up right now. Um, there we go. I want to go here. Boom. All right. Sorry about that, you guys. You can jump in. Boom, 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 boom. Is this the part where dude is talking? Okay. There. All right. Sorry about that. So, what's going on, Peter? I see you. I have to tee some stuff up because these are unplanned live streams. I'll be doing things around the house. Usually Sunday is my cleaning day, my straightening out day, my get my kids and my household ready for the upcoming week. So I try to make sure, laundry, everything is just, I don't like to think about anything during the work and school week. I like everything to just be boom, boom, boom. All right, so this is the day to make sure that everything is boom, boom, boom. But a lot of times I'll take a break, check out my news feeds, and I don't really know how other people YouTube, but I'm one of those people. I don't look at mainstream media. I get all of my news from either YouTube or sometimes I'll look at X. I don't really look at conventional news these days, or even I don't even feel like no, most people that I know don't get information the conventional ways. I'm not sitting, in my car all the time because obviously I'm part of that remote workforce type of folk. So, I like the divine balance of house and work life balance, and I have it. So I'm not sitting in my car for like 20, 30 minutes in traffic anymore these days. So um, I don't really listen to a lot of radio either, unless I'm in the car with the kids, we're going to do some school stuff. What's going on, Info Warrior? I see you. And thank you for joining. Shout out to my mods. So, I'm catching this I look at the my YouTube little homepage, and whatever looks interesting to me, I'll click on it, see what the person's talking about, move on. So Brandon Tatum did a video. Pam Bondi takes over Matt Gaetz withdrawal nomination. This was about a day ago. Now he had done a video before, I suppose, and he was kind of revisiting the conversation that he was having about Pam Bondi, right? And on the cover of this, it said that Pam Bondi is a rhino or something like that. So I did a video perspective called Trump Tats and Pam Bondi, and I was stating the case for all the reasons why I actually thought she was a better pick than Matt Gaetz. I kept calling him Yates, but I thought that she was a better pick than Matt Gaetz. I felt like it would have been a better initial pick than Matt Gaetz, and just avoid all of this whole I don't want to be a distraction crap, which ended up being kind of a distraction. You know, And a lot of people have their opinions about, that how all of that stuff went down. But, and everybody's commentating about what they feel about Pam Bondi, X, Y, and Z. But the bottom line is, I kind of stand on what I say about Pam Bondi. I felt like from just the things that I observe about the woman, I don't know her personally. She seems like a beast. She seems like somebody who is very well competent to do the job. She has the conviction and the knowledge to do the job. And I think that her under a Trump administration will help us to kind of see clearly how firm she stands on her convictions. But I didn't when I looked in just a brief background check on Pam Bondi, I'm looking at this person really doesn't have a lot of skeletons in her closet, right? And that could be because she wasn't really established in the swamp. She was more on a local, state level. And a lot of times I find that people who are more localized on the state level, they're actually better for some of these federal positions than some people who are just been embedded in that federal swamp. But I'm listening to Brandon Tatum talk about Pam Bondi and kind of expanding on his opinion. I feel like I'm these people's muse. I swear I am. Um, and he hit on a lot of points that I hit on in my video. And the one thing that he put in this video is the liberal media establishment. Now he's saying, well, I don't know if the liberals are speaking favorably about Pam Bondi. He doesn't know if he should trust it. Now, my whole thing is, I feel like even liberals can be reasonable when they don't have anything on somebody to just back off, at least these days, because it hasn't really worked well for them demonizing people who really just didn't have the past that they wanted them to have. You know what I mean? And because Brett Kavanaugh still got confirmed, right? But anyways, I'm looking at Tatum, and he's talking. He has MSNBC on the mic, and obviously they're panicking for a variety of different reasons, right? Elon is pretty much dangling a lot of people's jobs in front of their face. They're seeing their lives flash before their very eyes as the possibility of Elon Musk acquiring their dear network, haunts their dreams and keeps them up at night. I'm pretty sure many of those people are not sleeping well at night these days, knowing that little Elon Musk is dangling, acquiring their dear network. But, anyways, I wanted to play this clip that he included in his video. And it's interesting because the liberal media, literally, they're little pundits. They really do a great job of being so emotional that they end up saying the quiet part out loud. So here we go. Oh, hang on. Let me make sure we got this. Did I mute everything? Don't tell me YouTube is gonna. I only wanted to mute the one video.
Sought at the DOJ. That's a huge difference with Matt Gaetz. Pam Bondi is exactly what I was saying in the last segment that we should all fear because she's competent. We may not agree with.
Stop. Let's play that again.
Her state level experience is much closer to what presidents in both parties have sought at the DOJ. That's a huge difference with Matt Gaetz. Pam Bondi is exactly what I was saying in the last segment that we should all fear because she's competent.
Why would they fear competence? Why would they fear competence? I mean, this guy is really saying the quiet part out loud about the liberal establishment. They are allergic to competence. They are allergic to competence. I mean, this is like the loudest quiet part out loud that I've heard in a very, very long time. I mean, he's telling us why the Democrats got swept this election cycle because apparently people in America was stepping back and was like, you guys just seem so allergic to competence. I don't really understand why all of these incompetent things are happening in the government that's like gravely impacting my family, my future. And then this guy is telling us why that is.
Presidents in both parties have
why is the liberal media establishment, why are the Democrats, why are they really fearing Pam Bondi?
Jay, that's a huge difference with Matt Gaetz. Pam Bondi is exactly what I was saying in the last segment that we should all fear, because she's competent. We may not agree with her ideologically, but she actually knows how to do this job. So if anyone...
So everybody else that they done propped up actually didn't know how to do the job, right? I mean, let's read between the lines here, people. Let's read between the lines. Read between the lines. He's saying because she can actually do the job. That means all those little lemmings, those nepotistic proppings and stuff like that, those people weren't propped because they could actually do the job and because they were actually competent. No, they were DEIs. No matter what color they were DEIs. I look at nepotism as a form of DEI. You know, nepotism is DEI for rich people and their kids, right? But it's all the same. These people are incompetent. They're incompetent. And they're telling you that they even fear competent people.
Is exactly what I was saying in the last segment that we should all fear, because she's competent. We may not agree with her ideologically, but she actually knows how to do this job. So if anyone on the Democratic side or anyone who cared about liberty or justice was thinking, well, maybe Matt Gaetz will screw this up and that'll give us some time. No, Pam Bondi knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing.
He said maybe some of the people on the liberal side thought that Matt Gaetz would be just like them and be goofy as hell and incompetent, right? They were real. I think that they probably wanted Matt Gaetz more than they want to see Pam Bondi. I think, if anything, the Republicans did not want Matt Gaetz. I think that was a Republican establishment move. I think the Republicans got to his ass before the Democrats could even think about getting to him. They was going to get busy with him, no doubt, if he would have stayed the course. But I think it was the Republicans that was really in that ass, like, you better tap the fuck out, like, right now. And Matt Gaetz was like, I don't want to be a distraction, guys. I respect Donald Trump so much. Matt Gaetz knew what the hell he was doing. But anyways, this dude is telling us.
He's doing about immigration. Remember, Florida is one of those states that's been very aggressive about migrants and deportation and moving people to different states and everything else like that. Florida has enacted all sorts of rules and laws to curtail students and what they can do on campuses and finding legal justifications for manipulating education money. She is a dangerous and effective pick, and that's frankly worse than what we would have got with Matt Gaetz.
So he said that she's a dangerous and effective pick, meaning that everything that the Democrat machine has been pushing, superimposing, irrationally skewing the law, essentially Pam Bondi would be that force to basically usurp those things. And they are afraid of that. They are afraid of that. So let me see. Let me go to the comments, and I have no commitment to any of these people. I'm just calling things like I see them. All right. Sorry, I got to go and look at my comments over here. You said, that's right, Brian. He said, now they can't say that Trump got something against women. Trump actually has been tapping in quite a few women. They are white women, but nonetheless, they're women. But he has been tapping the women. So, I mean, I guess the Democrats got to give him his brownie points on diversity that way, because he's been tagging the women. Let's see. You guys are talking about Diddy and baby oil. Why y'all so obsessed with Diddy? Some of y'all people obsessed with Diddy, just trolling people's chats, talking about Diddy. Sometimes I feel like you guys are the sexual deviants. Like, I really do feel like you guys are trolling your deviancy in people's chats. You know what I mean? Because, again, you keep saying Diddy. It's like, let's talk about Epstein. Let's talk about all those Nickelodeon and Disney perverts. Right? There's so many others, I mean, to talk about here. the blacks, the Jews, and of the like. And that's just word 100. I'm gonna get busy with some of y'all in my chat. I will. Don't be trolling up in here about no damn Diddy, weirdos. Y'all obsessed with that kind of stuff. That's why you keep talking about it. Let's see. That's right. You said Pam about to get on their asses. She is. You can tell by the way Pam Bondi speaks. You can tell by the way Tom Holman speaks. They are not playing with these people at all. Like, I mean, I think that these are the type of Americans that have sat back and watched this country just go to crap with these irrational people and their little ideas, right? Infiltrating this nation, disturbing the cultural balance of this nation. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And like I said, the Democrats get exactly what they deserve. They get exactly what they deserve this time around. And, nobody should feel bad about themselves. They shouldn't be overly perplexed as to why Americans have decided to go the opposite way of them. Like, I mean, America fled from the Democrats like a disease. You would have thought they was a coronavirus the way them states was flipping red. Apparently, the Democrats just didn't understand how much they pissed off the American public with all that irrational BS, infiltrating our institutions with a bag of garbage. But Trump is getting the snipers, and I said that is what you need. Like, you got to really when they kept talking about, let's put the grown-ups back in the house. No, we didn't we really do need to put the grown-ups back in the house, because none of those people actually proved that they were adults and grown-ups. Like, seriously. I'm going to be busy, be a busy guy for the next 4 years. Hey, my thing is, no matter if it's whatever the political party is, I think that there's still always opportunity. I think smart people understand how, what it means when either one of these political parties are at play. But you just kind of understand how things work when they are, and you just kind of learn to kind of protect yourself as best you can. Republican or Democrat or Republican voters, you will all feel it, especially blacks. Look, blacks feel it the worst, as I said in one of my recent videos, just because we are one of those groups that have had stiflings in our progressions outside of the other groups. And that's just a matter of fact. I'm not going to buck dance to anybody, no matter what color you are. That is a reality. That's not playing the victim card. That is called reality. And you have a bunch of blackface people who's trying to cater to the mindsets and ideas of Republican white folks, talk about every conversation that black people have is a victim card. And it's just a matter of fact. Blacks will be disenfranchised more than any other group when it comes to poor economic policies. Just because, again, the progression of this group has been stagnant in comparison to other groups in this nation over the decades. But there has been periods in which blacks have done very well. And I think, or blacks have felt a perception of doing better or well. And I think that those periods of policy should be examined and perhaps revisited, Again, I think black people perceive the Clinton years as being favorable to us because, really NAFTA was in the beginning phases. It really didn't just hit everybody like that. So people were in a mindset of doing economically well in the early 90s, but it literally all fell down. It was like a domino effect. It was like literally dominoes falling because NAFTA was really spreading its disease in the United States, and slowly but surely, a lot of their jobs, manufacturing opportunities, legacies of industries in local neighborhoods was outsourced, removed, right? Shout out to President Trump on them tariff taxes. And he don't seem like he's going aggressive. Somebody came up in my checks up and said, you think 200% tariffs is okay? It depends on the context. But he's talking about like 10%. I mean, he probably might go a little bit aggressive there, but I think the overarching theme is you can't sell goods on this land for free. And that's just the bottom line. Only irrational people who are trying to buy friendships or hook up their buddies would think shit like that is okay. But, anyways, you know, and I probably did. I said fluid. Okay, first of all, that is not a typo. Okay, and for those of you who need to get a little touch of your Diddy on this channel, you said I look dopey as fuck. Well, get your punk ass off my channel. It's really easy. Bye, beta men. Real men don't do shit like that. You know, you can always tell these beta punk ass dudes, they'll come in the chat and try to troll, and it's like, we know you got bitch like emotions. You said, hey, Candace Owens. I'm not Candace Owens, so I'm going to have to hide you too. You come over here calling me somebody else, you're going to get hit. That's just how it works over here. Don't conflate me with nobody else. You know, you people gonna learn. I'm not gonna be what you want me to be. I am who I am. And if you don't like that, get the hell on. It's very simple. But anyways, I said, why is getting flued out sex trafficking? Right? And I want to know this, right? Because obviously people are, there was a allegation against Matt Gaetz. And one of those allegations was that he had flew some woman out. And obviously, there was going to be, I guess she felt like she was being flown out for sex. Now, you know, I guess we live in this world, right? Like, I remember a world where wealthy men, men of power, right? They flew women of interest out. These women knew what it was, right? They were going to be an escort. They were going to be the company of the man. Right? These women weren't looking at themselves as being sex trafficked because they weren't really necessarily just dominantly being flown out to these men for the purpose of sex. Now, I really need a clearer definition of what sex trafficking really is, because there seems to be a conflation with men flying women out, you know, for an evening, or, you know what I mean, as being sex trafficking. And my whole thing is, you know, if there is a mutual intent of what's going to happen in that evening, even if sex occur, how can that be conflated with sex trafficking? And the reason why I put flued out, you know, why it's getting flued out sex trafficking, because Diddy's, it took me back to Young Miami. Diddy's girl, right? His bottom bitch, right? She was talking about, she was doing a City Girl promotion, and she said, y'all can get flued out, right? And people was talking, everybody knew how, if nobody knew how ignorant Carisha was, right? That should have told you. Like, that should have told you right there, right? And poor Carisha, right? Because I was kind of following some of her little saga being with Diddy, right? And poor Carisha was trying to refine herself as a woman, right? You know, she was trying to work on her language and how she was communicating, because people thought she was not intelligent, right? But she was talking about getting flued out, right? For all of these things, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And I just want to know, like, in modern age, right? If a woman, let's just say a woman meets a guy on the internet, right? And they're talking back and forth, right? Let's say for a considerable amount of time. And then this man decides that he was like, hey, I'm going to be in, let's just say, Palm Springs next week. I want you to come with me. I'm going to send you a flight, right? You can come with me. And she said, oh my God, yeah, okay, yeah, cool, right? She gets there, right? They're having fun. She already knows she about to get chopped and screwed, right? He ain't just inviting you out there to just look at your ass more times than not. He's going to show you a great time, you know, and then after that, you know, he's going to, y'all going to do, right? Right. And typically most women who comply with arrangements like that, they already know what it is. Matter of fact, they feel compelled to do it a lot of times, right? Because they want to continue getting that type of treatment. Okay. So if a guy does that, why is that considered sex trafficking? Like, because this is what I'm starting to see some of these little allegations and stuff be conflated to. And I'm not saying Matt Gaetz is an innocent dude. I don't know what the age of consent was in regards to that particular person. But let's just say he did pay somebody to come out, fly out to meet him somewhere or whatever. Why would that be conflated with sex trafficking? Like, I don't understand that. All right, let's do it. Nothing wrong with that. No, I mean, I don't have any, like, Candace Owens is her own person, and what I hate is when people see a black person with an objective viewpoint or something, they start conflating them to Candace Owens. It's like, especially black females, it's like, stop it. Like, don't be that damn ignorant to just be ambushing people. A lot of black people, some people rock with her. I don't really care for how she made her coins in the beginning, talking about people recklessly like she did. And like, so, like I said, that y'all not gonna give her brownie points over here. But because we don't know the full story. And I can't even think there was a great period in the US since birth unless you can clearly state. I can't even think there in the United States since its birth. I don't, here's the thing. I mean, that is subjective, right? You have some people in America who would say that this period or that period or this period was a great period in America. Um, and some people would beg to differ. I kind of look at American history as a whole in totality, and I can look at a nation that has progress in many degrees, but it has also gone back and repeated history in so many different degrees as well. So, that's America, and I don't really think that people should think that any nation is perfect, right? There's no nation that is perfect. Okay. All right. So, yeah. I think people are starting to get, like, I feel like America was founded on principles that we've actually kind of started being manipulated into being removed from. When you think about Enlightenment principles, I mean, those principles are really centered on the individual person and being able to actualize in their natural environment with limited influence from a king or a pope. And that's really, outside of the religious stuff that people like to attribute this country's founding on. It was really founded on enlightenment principles. And I feel like this nation has actually kind of gone away from those principles. I believe maybe there's been some subtle manipulations to go away from those principles with the setup structures since 1913, the education system, just really removing people from their natural state. I think that has really hurt, people in so many degrees, or hurt the nation in so many different degrees, because with the creation of the school system, I really just believe that was just a cute little prison system for our children so that they can leverage the labor of their parents, right? But they can also indoctrinate the children with how to be lemmings to the system. Because that's really what I feel like the structure of school has evolved into, just a cute little subtle education camp for kids for, 7 hours of the day, so that the parents can have maximum labor time, you know, away from them. But I want to know why sex traffic, or a situation like I mentioned before, would be considered sex trafficking. Because even in the Diddy files, when they're talking about Diddy flew out these women to come to a party, you know what I mean? I don't necessarily think of something like that as sex trafficking. When I think about sex trafficking, I am thinking about somebody who has been taken against their will. There was no consent. right? Or even if they sort of comply in some simple way because they were vulnerable at a time, like some prostitutes and pimp situations, a lot of times these pimps kind of manipulate these young people, and then before you know it, they have control over them. They come off as a savior in the beginning, and then they start turning into the real like Turner, if you will. So, you know, I think that I think of sex trafficking in those scenarios. I don't think of sex trafficking as a man who invites a woman from another state to come visit him, meet him in his state or another state. They get together, they have a good time, they have intimate relations or whatever. Then later on, that guy becomes like a political hopeful. And this broad is talking about well, I'm a victim of sex trafficking because he flew me from my state to meet with him and, to have sex. And it's like, okay, well, did you guys do anything outside of that? Other than that, you know, did he take you out to dinner? Did he do anything like that or whatever? You got to be careful with some of these scenarios because, again, I'm not saying that all men are innocent, but I'm not saying that all women should be believed either. And there's just so many scenarios where I feel like they're creating something sinister out of something that's really commonplace, right? Because, I mean, if we were to kind of take some of these narratives as the definition of sex trafficking, it's a whole lot of sex trafficking happening every single day, everyday life. It just really would be if we were just to believe these conflations. And that's all I'm saying. I pray everyone has a great weekend. Thank you so much, Jake. How are you? Facts. That's why they pledge allegiance to the flag from kindergarten. I mean, it's really just it's a program camp is what I feel like the modern education system is. In the 50s and 60s, people were getting married at 14. Absolutely. And it's like society has really changed a lot because I mean, it's interesting because even in biblical times, right? Young men were having kids as early as 13 years old. You know what I mean? And, but we can see how society can sort of suppress the mind from maturity, if you will. So a 13-year-old in the 50s and 60s definitely probably had a different maturity, self-actualization, and mindset about themselves than a 13-year-old in modern time. A 13-year-old in modern times would not probably have nearly the most as much responsibility or freedom as one, in the 50s and 60s because they truly were bred to be responsible, right? There were chores, right? If you ask a 13-year-old, what is your chores? They like some of them be like, what? They don't even know what a chore is, right? Kids are not being raised the same way. Society is not as simple as it used to be, right? So, I think that and I by no means by saying these facts of how society has progressed am I advocating people under the age of 18 getting married. Obviously the maturity levels in society has degraded dramatically. So, I mean, that's all the more reason when I hear people talking about they want 15 or 16-year-olds, you really want somebody who's immature that you can take advantage of really quick and nothing more. And I'm hearing like these 30-something-year-old men coveting these teenage girls. You're coveting these teenage girls because psychologically you can't match wits with a woman your own damn age. And the reason why women your own damn age is too difficult is because they're not going to let you do any old stupid ass thing that you want to do. And that's what a lot of these men really want to do is I don't want somebody to check me, say anything, call me out on my stupid, or even have the rationality to understand when I'm being unreasonable, right? They're just going to listen to me and shut the hell up. And that's fine. But most of the time, men that operate like that, they're not the sharpest tools in the shed and they're not the best leaders. Okay. You said it's called not wanting accountability. Perhaps Matt Gaetz is a defense attorney. That's great. Pam Bondi is a prosecutor. She's a prosecutor. Last thing, it was funny. I was listening to. I caught another. I'm always catching all these different things in my feeds, and I saw this one brother talking about World War III, and they're building up a lot of the tension around that. I pray for everybody around the world, but again, we're gonna hear about wars and rumors of wars, but I am very conscious that I don't really perceive these things as my deliverance being near, because there's just so many other things that need to happen in order for us to get to that point. But he's talking about, people kind of creating narratives around this war and even some kind of spiritual significance around a World War III. And again, I encourage all my spiritual people to just be hyper conscious. Did anybody see Little Uzi Vert? I guess there's some. He came out in a UFO, I guess a couple of days ago, to announce his album, and it was all, I guess, a hologram, but it was so lifelike that many people believe it. And it was kind of weird because my sister was showing me this video because my sister's always talking about Project Bluebeam. She's like, I don't know if she's a conspiracy theorist, but she's always like looking at channels like that. And so she was like, "Girl, you want to see Project Bluebeam like in real life? You want to see it? You want to see it?" I was like, "Okay." So she shows me this video of Little Uzi Vert in New York, and I'm like, and it looks like a real life, UFO flying saucer, right? And it looks like, the video's like Little Uzi flies in on a flying saucer for like a promo. And then you see, and they're like, and he's coming down from a blue beam light. And I'm looking at all of this stuff, and I'm trying to figure out, like, well, where's the technology, the simulation of this guy coming out of this blue beam? And it's like, no, she's like, it was all a holograph, like it was not real. And, I'm just thinking to myself, there's so many people out here mocking the scriptures, mocking the Bible. I can just kind of see something, a technology like that. And what was interesting is there was actually sound effects. So there was sound coordination with this promo that Uzi did. And I'm like, they're going to start beaming Jesus and confusing these Christians. They really are. They're gonna start having a whole bunch of people rapturing like that one episode in 6 Feet Under, right? And folks just gonna be running to Jesus, thinking that it's the rapture. The technologies that they have right now are very interesting. I think that they are, great tools for manipulating people, and we shall see. But Project Bluebeam, you know. I think that they're going to start playing with people's mind. We'll probably have a one world religion somewhere in the Project Bluebeam where they're going to have Jesus. I saw this video where it was a Project Bluebeam. I don't know if he was just making jokes about it, but he was like, they're going to probably like being Muhammad and Jesus and all these deities, and they're all going to like just be manifested in the air for all humanity to see. And they're going, like, look, we all should come together, kumbaya, one world religion, worshiping one God who happens to be the son of perdition. But anyways, I was listening to Tariq Nasheed. That was another one of those videos that I caught. And he has a video talking about, is it possible to gatekeep blackness, right? And okay, hold on, because I gotta check somebody. Because I already addressed that. So you're gonna get embarrassed for coming in here running off at your mouth because you want to call a black woman ghetto. So A3V3 is flown out. This ain't the ghetto. First of all, I never lived in the ghetto. Second of all, I already explained why I put it like that. And that was in relation to a point that was made, you take your punk ass off my page and never come back. And I will make sure that happens because I'm going to block your ass. I swear these people, they just want to come up calling black people ghetto. It's like, shut your ugly ass up. Okay, you come to the ghetto and say that to a black person's face. I bet you your punk ass won't. So just settle down. Coming up in chats. You coming up in chats trying to be insulting. Go hit somebody on the streets for real and see how they treat you. Right? People love they love flexing their ignorance behind the keyboard, but you don't have that energy in real life. I have that energy online and offline. I promise you, I am a very consistent person. But anyways, yeah, I specialize in having to hurt these people's feelings because it's usually the ones whose people brought crack and black people into the ghetto that want to come up in here calling people ghetto. You better take your Zionist ass on somewhere. We don't play those games over here. I mean, I just can't stand that BS. They will just come out of nowhere. We could be talking about stars and rainbows, and they want to come bring in some racial, insult. Like I don't snap back. If you think you about to insult my people over here, I will insult all of your people over here. I promise you. So he's gone. And hopefully he learned his lesson. Don't come over here talking that bullshit or you will get blocked unapologetically. Made me lose my whole damn thought. I think that's why I don't read my chat all the time because when I catch one of those little ignorant people, I got to get their asses out right away. And I got to make sure that I insult their punk asses on the way out. But anyways, you guys, oh, I'm not worried about them. I just block them and keep it moving. Y'all better go on somewhere. But you know what? And so what was I saying? Yeah, he just like told somebody something. I literally explained why I titled it "Flued Out." I literally explained why I titled it "Flued Out." I'm a very calculated person, honey. But anyways, yesterday I was watching a live stream and a guy used the N word, pissed me off. I mean, here's the thing. You know, again, I don't police what people, want how people want to articulate. I can only police how I allow people to articulate to me and at me, right? And so like that's my control, right? If somebody depending on what the context of using the N-word is, I think that when you do look at that word from a cultural standpoint, you have the camaraderie term, and then you have the hard ER degrade black people term that some of these white supremacists and some of their black looking immigrant counterparts like Myron Gaines, they like to sling out that one, right? And they're directly insulting black people. It's like I actually know, like I said, and everybody, and to this point too. Thank you for bringing me back to my point, my friend. I was looking at Tariq Nasheed, and he was talking about, can you gatekeep blackness, right? And obviously he argued that you can't, right? But there needs to be parameters of gatekeeping, specifically Black American freedmen culture, ideas, and lineage. And I definitely agree with that. I agree with that because, to his point, there are people who will insult that lineage, that culture, but then turn around and try to tether on it when it is convenient for them. And a lot of these people may think that Black Americans are beneath them. And so I get what he's saying, but you can't police Blackness. You can't gatekeep Blackness. And even, when you're breaking Blackness down from like, a cultural Blackness standpoint, being an actual descendant of freemen, right? And then all the other Black, I think it's a difficult task because I think that, like, for me, I feel my family, we're descendants of freemen, right? But we understand that there is a lot of Black culture that has been infiltrated by non-Black people. And so, therefore, kind of immersing ourselves in this mindset of cultural Blackness would really be immersing ourselves in mindsets of ourselves that certain white supremacist type people want us to have. So for me, I I have always been associated with my blackness, but I was never raised to be hyper aware of behaving, if you will, in the construct of black, right? And so I think that when you're talking about blackness, I mean, I think that it's a behavioral thing, right? It's a cultural thing, right? It's a mindset thing. I never grew up pro blackity black black black. Nobody in my family grew up pro blackity black black black. We just grew up people getting up every day, doing things to make it in life, right? And we are hyper aware that we are black people in this society and that we do have to watch how we move. We have to calculate how we move. That's how I was raised. I wasn't raised to, just cleave on to some idea of black unity, but I was raised to help prioritize your own people first. So like for like my uncle's position, if you can buy from a black man at a reasonable price versus a non-black man, you should get it from the black man first, right? And I think a lot of cultures they behave like that too, even though a lot of them don't want to admit it. That's how a lot of cultures and groups really behave. It's just that some cultures are more on code with their people than others. And unfortunately, some of our people have a track record of, betraying the other ones. So, I mean, there's so many glory horrors in the black thought groups. I follow everybody. I like to listen to everybody's perspective. Like I said, I take what I need from some of these people, but at the end of the day, my people are Israel. Like my people are Israel, not to be conflated with that stuff in the Middle East, but my people are the people of the Bible. They're Israel. And, from my perspective, if you are a person that's in union with the God of Abraham, if you're a person who is in covenant and you're doing the best you can to live your life as a righteous person, you're my people. Like, and that's just what it is. I don't align with Satanists. I don't align with anybody who has those spirits. So that's me, right? So my people, should they choose, to be, are those who are in covenant with the God of Abraham, right? And they accept Yeshua as their king. Anyways, I wanted to close this by making a comment because I've heard a couple of people. I've talked about my study and my examination of these books. And I've gotten a lot of comments of people, oh, those were not inspired books. Those are not, were accepted as books of the Bible. Those are not this. Those are mystical books, right? And I respect everybody's opinion. I really do, right? But as I'm examining these accounts, and that's really what all of the books of the Bible really are. They are human accounts of what was happening on the earth back in their time based off of what they already knew or the stories or the accounts that were told to them. Okay, so there are some usual people in the Bible based off of the acceptable 66 books in the canonical that people know, right? But there were more than those people living on earth and even experiencing those things. And so as I look at every single book in the Bible, whether it was an inspired word of God or if it was a personal human account of what was going on the earth at that time, I will entertain it, right? So I am not looking at these books of the Bible as being inspired books of the Bible until I actually read them, understand them. Right off the bat, I'm going to say the book of Enoch should have been in the Bible. And I don't care what anybody says about that. I haven't read the book of Jasher like that. I've read bits and pieces of it, but I'm going to thoroughly read that too to give my assessment. But anything in this book so far for me, the book of Enoch should have been included. I don't care what anybody else says. I really don't care what you believe. You can be an Israelite, you can be woke now. I don't care. The book of Enoch should have been added to the Bible. That's my assessment so far. My other note, because I've been taking notes, let me get my little notes about this. Because when I read stuff, I take notes, I put context, I add all the different layers that I need to add. So when I was talking to you guys about how, you know, God inspired Cyrus the Mede to help Israel return home after Babylonian exile. And he actually, through tax breaks and governmental mandates, not only helped them to get back home, but Cyrus also helped them build their second temple. Okay. Now, the one thing that I'm going to say about this book of the Bible, or these books right now, is that I measure something as being from Satan, because I understand that the devil definitely manipulates. He makes it his business to mock the scriptures any way he possibly can, skew the scriptures any way that he possibly can. But one thing that I ask myself before I start examining any additional understandings or readings, where did they come from, right? Where were they found? But also, are they deviating from what has been accepted? Do they deviate dramatically from what has been accepted? I have not read not one mythical or mystical thing in these accounts. Not one mythical or mystical thing in these accounts. The only thing that makes these accounts mythical and mystical is that they are specifically focusing on the angels. And I think that it's kind of perplexing to me because, for these so-called Bible scholars to dismiss these books because they center on the angels. And it gives real life to the creation beyond. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth proved to be blameless. And somebody then watered down Genesis, right, to give you an explanation that is very much focused on God's earthly sons. But when you examine what God actually created in the very first day, he created 7 things. He created 7 things, and mankind was not part of it. But the sons that he did create was the spiritual sons. And I think that people, because they've been manipulated by the clergy to believe that God only created fleshly beings, that he only created fleshly sons. No, there were spiritual sons. Our spiritual brothers were created, the angels. They were created before us. And I think another thing when reading these accounts that's really enlightening to me is that every single element has an angel assigned to it. And people were like, well, that's mystical. Okay, well, if it's so mystical, why is it every single simulation of God's word, there is a 5 element? I used to, when I was a kid, I was thinking about this when I was reading this. When I was a kid, there was a show called Captain Planet. Hit the like button if you remember Captain Planet, all right? Right? And to summon Captain Planet to save us from the evil people that were destroying the earth, you needed elements. Remember those elements? Earth, wind, fire, water, right? Remember Bruce Willis and Chris Tucker was in a movie called The Fifth Element, right? right? What were those stones? How were you able to activate those stones? See, they're going to mock God in all these little creative cinematic ways, but they're not going to tell you that there are angels assigned to those elements. And that every time you go out there cloud seeding, creating weather programs, you are in direct opposition and war with those angels and the divine balance. See, mankind, we only see what we see. But there is a divine balance, and we have broken it. We have broken it. We are not even on the right time cycle. We don't even exist in the right time cycle because we have been knee deep in our influences, self interest. We've broken the divine balance for millenniums. We are not on the right time cycle. And it's interesting because this book actually gives us great detail about how the seasons and the years actually work. And it makes sense. So, everybody can believe what they want to believe. I definitely believe, if you are an Israelite we need to just stick to the Torah, you do that, right? But my whole thing is I'm about expanding my knowledge. And I'm one of those people that I can take, even if it's deemed secular or not inspired, I can take an account and say, okay, well, what can I glean from this, right? Nothing that I've read so far is removed from the scriptures, nor is it removed from secular history. And I have not at all caught a hint of Satan's influence on these books. And again, I haven't read everything, but I think that everybody, you seek knowledge the way that you want to seek it, right? You want to pigeonhole yourself to what the Council of Nicaea told you to pigeon your whole self with, then you do that, right? But I'm more of a truth seeker. I want to understand the entire context of things beyond what is seen. And I'm never going to dismiss the accounts about our spiritual brothers. They are our protectors. They were built, they were created just for that purpose, to maintain the divine balance of heaven and earth, but also to protect human beings on this earth who are in line and in union and in covenant with Yahuwah, the Most High God. So, I just wanted to put that out there because ever since I started, I put this out there. I don't know if it's Satan, the devil. I don't want to say that everything is Satan, but I just feel like ever since I started really examining this, I've been getting just a lot of negative just feedback about just doing that. I'm like, okay, do you want me to go to a Megan Thee Stallion concert? You want me to go look at these hoes? This is a better usage of my time to just nerd out on something that may have I'm not listening to the Iliad. I'm not trying to read about the gods of Odysseus. I'm not trying to make Anunnakis black people or believe that you can tap into these symbolic Solomonic type of things. I'm not trying to examine the keys of Solomon, right? These are not the same things, right? So I think that if you're trying to brighten your light, right, as opposed to picking up a romance novel or something else, pick up the Apocrypha. If you've read the Bible completely, you understand the scriptures, right? It shouldn't really bother you to just say, okay, well, what is this thing? To me, I look at these as accounts, like Divorce of the Book of Enoch right now. Because I think that is definitely, I believe that is the first book of the Bible. I do believe it's the first book of the Bible. I think that, matter of fact, I personally believe that the book of Jubilees was inspired by the stories that Enoch was commissioned to pass down from his sons from generations to generations. And that's really the point of a lot of the Bible accounts. And you'll hear it reoccurringly that these accounts were supposed to be passed on from generation to generation. So even if you have a variation of the account, it's like telephone, right? These people are telling, accounts that were told to them and their fathers and their fathers and their fathers. And that's really how you keep the word of God alive, right? By sharing these accounts with the next generations so that they understand how to apply them, how to understand them, and how to exist in their modern world. So that's all I got about that. Let me go to my thing. I know that there's a lot of people that don't like these books, and that is your business. You can take it as inspired word. You can take it as spiritual inspiration. You can take it as this is an account from somebody who was inspired by stories that they may have been told or things that they may have been seeing on Earth themselves, right? All right, here we go. Let's see. You said Jesus is the one true God. Jesus is a human, not God. Jesus was a human, but he was definitely a God before human. But Enoch isn't canonical, right? It should be. That is what I'm saying. When you read the book of Enoch, you get, to me, some of these books that were omitted from the Bible, they have a way more thorough explanation of the of certain instances. They like, for me, the book of Genesis leaves me incomplete in many ways. It seriously just jumps through a lot of things, right? But with Enoch, you got 3 books here for a reason, right? Because he's telling you, right? And we're also being introduced to the order, the divine order in itself through Enoch, right? And it's through the book of Jubilees that you actually see this divine order that was told and seen to Enoch. You see it reoccur again. So somebody was telling them, their kids, stories, the stories that Enoch's sons were passing on. They were passing those on to generations and generations, because even Jesus references instances from the book of Jubilees. So these stories were passed on. And so I think that, again, I don't believe that the people in the Council of Nicaea, I don't necessarily think that they had the the preservation of God's word in mind. I think that they had the preservation of their man-made, their power in mind, of a church or the religion. And I think that a lot of these people, they watered down the book of God, because I don't believe that, because again, if you are a truth seeker, God will give you the knowledge that you seek. It is really that simple. He will give you the knowledge that you seek, right? He will help you to ascertain if something is a falsehood from Satan, or if this is something that connects with his will, his vision, his word. I haven't read not one thing in here that usurps God's word, takes away his glory, elevates Satan in any kind of way, gives Satan any type of glory. Satan is the same mother that he is here as he is in the Bible. But we get a little bit more insight about these people and their order. And the reason why I think these books are important is because, to me, it helps you to get to the bigger question about who this Jesus on earth really was before he came to earth. Which angel was he? I don't think that people even care about that. God sent his son, right? What was his son's name? His name was not Jesus in heaven. If you read the scripture, Mary was told to give the child a specific name. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that was his name in heaven. Which angel was he? Which of those angels were the beloved one, right? These books tell you who that is. And it's the same thing about Satan, right? Satan is the earthly name given to the betrayer, the dragon. His name was Lucifer in heaven. So you're talking about heavenly names versus earthly names, right? We know that Satan's earthly name is Satan, among other things. Mithra. He's reinvented his name a couple of times. Saturn. So all you sun god worshippers, you're devil worshippers, right? But he had a heavenly name. He had a heavenly name. And I think it helps us to understand the spiritual brothers and how they impacted the divine balance and the divine will of God and how it was actually allowed. Because God was not just testing humanity. It wasn't just a test for humanity. It was a test for everybody that he created, everything that he created. So I think that if you had a broader context of the word beyond the usual suspect stories that we all have heard, right? I think you'll get a greater meaning, and it'll even help you to understand just in the streams of time of humanity kind of where we are at, right? But anyways, I wanted to say I do not feel bad for reading these. And I feel like it's almost the devil trying to make me feel bad, at least opening my mind. And I prayed about this. I pray every time I read something new. I prayed multiple times before I even started getting into this. And I'm staying the course. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day, right? Believe what you want, right? Some of you guys don't even pick up the Bible. So don't get mad at me for picking up a supplement. But you know, believe how you want to believe. This is my nerd out for the next couple of weeks. I wanted to read these books, give at least give the due diligence of saying that I read them. I'll take them for what they're worth, right? If I see some riddled in Satanism or some skewing of the word, I will definitely abandon ship. But so far, I have not seen that, right? I'm actually seeing a greater understanding of the part that I felt like I was missing in all of my studies, and it is the spiritual side of the house, the unseen side of the house. So that's me. You guys have a blessed day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.